tell me why on this God's earth is it allowed for pharmaceutical companies to charge whatever they want in the U.S.? So, for example, I take a drug here. It's called modafinil, right? It's a drug I use. It's a wake-up drug. It's really effective. I love it. I've been taking it for many years. It cost me as much as $1,000 a month here. It's a bit cheaper now, but still in the hundreds of dollars a month. When I go to England, it's $7. The same exact medication. Go to Canada, it's $9. Australia, it's $11. And that's with every single drug. How is it allowed that the pharmaceutical is allowed to rape and pillage the village here? So then, and charge literally for the same exact thing, 1/100th the price in another country. I don't understand how that's allowed. And that creates so many problems with I don't think you could fix the healthcare system unless you fix that.
Yeah, well, the healthcare system, I think, has much greater problems than the drug pricing. So there's ways to tackle the drug pricing. There is bipartisan legislation that mostly you need to get generics to market faster. You're a business guy, so I think you kind of know the answer to this. When you do spend billions on research and development, like, you have to get your money back. Otherwise, you would never make the drug in the first place. I mean, so that's obvious, right? But why the big difference between the UK and the US? Well, the reason is because they put in price limits. And also, once you make a drug, the marginal cost of making 50 more pills is very low. The reason you're charging a whole lot is because you spent billions on the research and development. And that's just true. I know some people don't believe that. It's true. Like, they spend a lot of money.
I'm aware of that.
Right. And so if you're the company now, and the UK or Canada is like, we're not going to buy your drug at all unless we buy it for this much. You're like, well, fine, I'll still do it. That's what they do. But they still have to make up their costs, and they make it up in the US. So we do get screwed. I don't deny that we get screwed on that. But it's also not clear that there's an obvious solution except to make sure that generics can come to market faster. So that's where the pharmaceutical companies are acting poorly or acting badly, is they'll change things up a little, and it's complicated as to how this works, but basically preventing generics to come to market after that patent has expired. Okay, so that's what we need more of, because we still need the companies to make the drug in the first place.
Yes, but there's another way. So that's one way of looking at it. But number one, when you look at the profits of these drug companies, they're in the billions and tens of billions of dollars. So they don't need, in other words, okay, yeah, you deserve to be profitable, but does the company need to have to make 60 or 30 billion? That's number one. I'm a capitalist.
How would you feel I know, but so how would you feel if somebody said that about your companies?
No,
you have too much money. I mean, you have a lot of money. You have more than me.
Listen,
I have some of you.
Listen, when someone books me for a speaking job somewhere, right, and they offer me X, and I say I'm not coming. It's not worth it to me. So the point is that it's up to the pharmaceutical companies to say, well, then I'm not selling you the drug. Then you have to pay more. We can't. In other words, it should not be that.
We're the
saps. So the U.S. is the saps, basically. We're the saps that pay for everyone else's free drugs. We're subsidizing the rest of the world with free drugs.
We are. I mean, again, I don't deny that it's unfair. What I would like to see, and there has been discussions of, now everything's more complicated once you devil's in the details, but sort of reverse price control. So the Democrats want to put price controls on American, purchasing here in America. Okay, so because that's the Democrat solution to everything. Okay, we think people should get paid more, raise the minimum wage. We think things should be cheaper, just have price controls. That's basically what Medicare for All is. That's their drug pricing bill. The problem is that, again, as a capitalist, you obviously know this. When you forcibly reduce a price, what do you get? You get less supply. That's the reality. CBO scored this as there'd be up to 30 less new cures, new drugs in the next 10 years if you put a bill like this in. Other studies show up to 100 less cures, because there's no reason for anybody to invest. This is a high risk. Wait, let me finish. I can see the finger waving. Let me finish. It's a super high risk industry. Again, it's billions of dollars you have to invest, so there better be a payoff. So I think it is more reasonable to have a kind of reverse price control conversation about, like, you can't sell to these countries unless you do it up to this price. And as opposed to basically cutting off all future innovation by putting price controls here. Again, it doesn't feel fair, and I get that, but this is but it's not as simple as people make it out to be, because for you to afford, we want you to afford the drug, but we also want the drug to exist in the first place. And it won't exist in the first place if we do some of these policies.
So why not go the opposite way? Why not increase the length of the patents on these drugs to let the companies make more when they get it right, they make a windfall. So they get to know there can't be generics. They have to, you allow the manufacturer to be the only, they come out with their own generic. They knock off themselves. No one else can knock them off. So now they can make two revenue streams. They make their initial revenue stream when it's just them. Then only they have the rights to make the cheaper generic. So now they can have a much longer value stream to monetize the successes. So someone can't come in. I'd be pissed off. Yeah, I spend billions of dollars in research. I'm wrong 7 times. And then some little company comes in there and just takes my intellectual property and makes a fortune. How about knock those people out?
The patents are pretty long as they are. They're about 10 years. I don't know. I would rather every time we see generics come to market, that's what reduces prices. So like, again, the legislation that we see that seems to work best is making it fair. It's fair, but also easy for generics to come to market. See, what drug companies do, which we want to stop, is they'll basically come out with a new drug. It's like basically the same as the old one, but they have a new patent on it. But you're like, wait a second, it's like barely changed from the old one. They kind of restart the patent. We got to stop that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of thing that we're tackling, and then we can, make this a much better process and lower drug prices.
Yeah. I guess I'm a really very staunch believer. There's something just wrong. It just seems patently unfair that we're the saps for the rest of the world. It's the way, whatever you say, that's how it ends up, is that everyone else is getting cheap.
They still have a lot less access to drugs than we do. I don't have the percentages right in front of me, but we by far have the access to the most cutting edge drugs. It's like not even close. So that particular drug you're talking about apparently is available in Canada and UK. A lot of cutting edge drugs are not, because the drug companies still they won't sell to them because they won't pay them what they want. And so it's a different situation for every single company and every single drug. But we have access to a lot more. People don't really, we pay more for healthcare, but we're also getting a lot more. It doesn't feel that way, and there's problems with it. But we get the best cancer treatment in the world. We can get an MRI the next day. We're in Canada. You definitely can't. We don't triage our healthcare the way they do in the UK. They're like, they can just decide with a board that they don't want to give you care anymore. Maybe you're too old or you're too sick, or they just don't have that kind of specialty.
Well, they have it if you pay for it. They have it privately. If you want to privately pay for it, you can. In other words, that's the national system, though. They have their own.
Not in the UK. Remember, they've kicked people out.
I've gotten sick in Australia.
Maybe, but I was talking about UK. I was talking about the UK.
They don't have that in the UK. I think they have a private, like you can also pay. Do they or no? I don't know. I should find out about that.
We've seen a lot of stories where, people are desperately trying to get their family member out of the hospital and transported to some other country like Italy or something. I remember seeing these because they have a purely nationalized health system in the UK. So that's it's like one giant VA is kind of what the UK is. Canada's more close to like Medicare for all. I'm not too familiar with the Australian system. Switzerland has its own system, which is a little bit, seems to be the best one, because it's like it's almost like Switzerland seems to me like it's like a giant Medicare Advantage. So it's individual plans, private plans competing against one another, which is a good system. Just sort of what we need to get to, and they basically just subsidize people according to their income, but you still buy into a free market system. Because listen, the people that get price control, the prices down on drugs, are insurance companies. This is what I said. Healthcare lobbyists are all against each other. They're all pitted against each other, which is good and bad. It makes it very hard to find a solution to this complex problem. But also keep in mind, like your best friend when negotiating prices with a pharmacy or pharmaceutical company is your insurer, because your insurer doesn't want to pay it. So this is what happens with Medicare Advantage. This is why Medicare Advantage ended up being so much less costly than we thought it would at first.